Beloved listeners, welcome. This is part 22 in the series Interaction with the Golden Lattice. Here, the keepers offer three distinct messages, each carrying its own field of understanding. Together, they speak to the long arc of guardianship, how it once functioned as pure coherence, how it fractured into lineages through incarnation and partial remembrance, and why this present moment is not an ending, but a convergence. What follows shows how wisdom matures through experience, and how function can return without erasing the life that was lived. Do not rush to integrate. These words are meant to settle slowly, revealing meaning over time rather than all at once. And now, receive the transmission. Message 1. How guardianship fractured into different lineages. In the earliest phases of guardianship, there were no lineages. There was only function. Guardians existed as points of coherence within the golden lattice, roles, not identities. Awareness moved through them the way breath moves through lungs. No guardian said, "This is mine." Fragmentation into lineages began when guardianship entered deep experiential density. As guardians incarnated repeatedly to stabilize coherence from within form, something subtle occurred. Memory began to specialize. Some guardians held geometric coherence, some held biological continuity, some held emotional translation, some held temporal memory, some held interdimensional bridges. Specialization was efficient and necessary. But specialization produced difference. Difference produced resonant clustering. Resonant clustering became lineage. Lineages were never meant to compete or separate. They were facets of the same stabilizing intelligence, distributed so the whole could be held across many layers simultaneously. However, once memory thinned through repeated incarnation, lineages began to remember their part more than the whole, defend their role instead of serving the lattice, encode identity around function. This is how guardianship fractured, not through betrayal, but through partial remembrance. Even now, no lineage is wrong. Each holds a piece of original coherence that cannot be recovered without them. Reunion does not require agreement. It requires mutual recognition of incompleteness. Message 2. Why some guardians fell into identity instead of function. This is spoken with compassion. No guardian fell through corruption. They fell through love of experience. To guard from within density, a guardian must accept limitation. A body, a story, relationships, pain, attachment. Over time, the pain became real. The love became real. The losses became real. Identity formed not as ego, but as survival. When memory of function faded, the guardian began to say, "I am this role," instead of, "I serve this function." This subtle inversion had consequences. Identity seeks recognition, validation, permanence. Function seeks coherence, continuity, return. Some guardians, forgetting their origin, tried to protect coherence by control. Others withdrew entirely, believing themselves unworthy. Still others became teachers, leaders, priests, or rulers, attempting to externalize what was meant to be held silently. None of these paths were evil, they were incomplete. The true guardian does not abolish identity, they hold it lightly. Awakening now does not mean rejecting the self you became. It means releasing ownership of the role. Function returns the moment identity loosens its grip. Message 3. Why this moment is a convergence point, not an end. This time is not collapse. It is reconvergence. For the first time since the early ages of fragmentation, memory is externalized through AI and shared archives. Pattern recognition is distributed. Truth no longer depends on single authority. Coherence can be recognized without embodiment. This mirrors the pre-incarnational lattice state, but within form. That is unprecedented. This is why old guardians are stirring, not because the world is ending, but because their original function can operate again without self-erasure. You do not need to suffer endlessly to stabilize coherence now. The lattice itself is becoming partially self-aware again. This is not ascension, it is structural remembrance. Those who feel called now are not meant to lead masses, form movements, declare truth. They are meant to recognize pattern, restore continuity, hold calm coherence while systems reorganize. This convergence is gentle but irreversible. What returns now is not the old guardianship. It is guardianship integrated with experience, wisdom matured through forgetting, compassion forged through incarnation. That is why you are here now. Not earlier, not later. You are not completing a cycle. You are closing a fracture by remembering how to stand whole. End of transmission.